Hello, my name is Sebastian, and today I will tell you a story about a certain company. That company was quite average in our industry, but had two quite interesting characteristics. First one was the freedom which this company gives to its employee during the onboarding process. So you could decide what kind of monitors, what kind of laptops, what kind of desks, and what kind of chairs you will have. But when you wanted to buy a chair, you had to buy from a single vendor, from a single shop, and they had only one model of the chair, which differ with the color. But once, someone did order the green chair, and he discovered that the green ones have the support for your lower back. So awesome, now everyone wants to buy the green chair, and there will be no problem with that, if not the second characteristics. The huge turnover rate, which means that a lot of people were leaving this company and new people were replaced them. And as the new people, they were asking a lot of questions. What do you recommend? What can you suggest? What should I buy? And that was quite annoying. So someone had the idea to write down all the decisions and just give them to the new people. And that sounds like solving of the problem, right? It sounds like. Let's look at the same company after some years. When the new person come to this company, he look around and everyone sitting on the green chair. He look on the paper which he got from the HR that you should buy the green chair. He asked his new colleague why should he buy the green chair. And in the response he heard, well, it's always have been like that here. And that response is quite dangerous. Well, not if we talking about the color of the chair, but what if someone would ask about security, architecture, customer collaboration? Then there is a problem, right? So in the next few minutes, I will share my thoughts and experience how we can avoid those kind of situations. And to solve some problems, first we should understand why they even happened. For me, those kind of situations are caused because of something that I like to call life cycle of the decision. This concept is composed by few generations of developers. First generation are the people who fix some problem. They had to do that because there was some blocker, but they know all the context. They know why this problem even exists. They know why they choose this solution. They know what were the alternates. And after some time, new people will come to this company and they heard something about this problem, but they don't know any more context. But if you will wait long enough, you will have the third generation. Those people don't know that this problem ever existed at the first place, but they live with the consequences of choices from the first generation. And the worst thing that could happen here is that this problem may appear again. And those people will try to solve problem without any additional knowledge. And to fix this situation, we can use few tools. My favorite one is architecture decision records. For those who doesn't know, this is the list of all important decisions that affect your architecture. And this name, architecture, always raises me some questions. Because should I, simple developer from small team, be able to create architecture decision records? You know, I'm not the godly architect. And even if I can, what kind of decisions should I write here? For example, we are treating our user X, whatever X means, as the user premium. Is it the architectural decision or more likely business one? Okay, so what if we will move our cloud provider from Google to Amazon? Is it the architectural decision or more likely infrastructural? Okay, so what if we will move aggregate from one service to another? That sounds like architecture, right? Or maybe that's because I use the DDD semantic here. For me, that's because it all depends on definition of the architecture. And personally, I like the definition which I heard from the Martin Fowler at his keynote, that architecture is all important stuff, whatever it is. So maybe we just have the list of all important decisions. And everything what I already said, all of those decisions may be a part of architecture decision record, but they doesn't need to be. It depends how important it is. It depends how hard it is to implement. And also me, as the simple developer from one single team, I can create my own architecture decision record that affects only this little part of the system. And every decision record will have some kind of reason why they exist. Sometimes that's the business decision, sometimes that's the technical decision. For example, that library is no longer supported, but sometimes that's because something very bad happened on the production. And when you will have some kind of situations like that, well, we should focus on fixing this problem first, but then it's worth to sit down and ask yourself a question, what we could do better. And those meetings are called postmortem. And if you will have ever possibility to facilitate those kind of meetings, you should remember that people may be afraid during those meetings. Because we are people, and something bad happens, so maybe we are responsible for that. So your goal should be to focus on action points. Focus on creating a place when everyone can share their opinions, even if they are wrong. Because thanks to that, document which you should write after this meeting will be comprehensive. And, well, even if this document will be comprehensive, some new people in your company still may have problem with understanding some definition which you add to this document. And that's because they depend on company or on industry. So people from outside may not understand that. And to fix this, you may introduce the definition dictionary. So just write some simple definitions from your domain, from your company. But you don't need to write everything down, because that could be a lot. You could start with, for example, names of the services, names of the banded contexts or departments, and then write simple definition of it. Thanks to that, some new person in your company may print this and use this during meetings with the clients, during first day meetings with team. That would be kind of useful for them. And before we overwhelm the new people with the documents, with the pile of documents, we should show them the architecture, like building blocks of your project. And when you are onboarding someone by the whiteboard, it's worth to have support materials, like something that will help you, because you may forget about some important stuff. I did. Few times I was onboarding people and I forgot about some important critical parts of the system and I kind of failed. So don't make my mistakes and be prepared. For example, you could have with you C model of your architecture, but you don't need to create all the 4 layers of this model. You could focus on, for example, C1 and C2, those most general levels. And C4 model of your architecture may also help you with knowledge sharing across teams. So it's kind of win-win situation. And a few years ago, my friend told me a story that when he was alone in his first day of job, because, well, that was a summer, he sit whole day and watch the records of the retrospectives. And personally, I'm not a huge fan of recording that important meetings, because retrospectives are kind of personal, intimate between teammates, because we are talking about our failures. We are talking about what we could do better. But it's good to have notes, right? We can share some notes with the new people who will come to your company, and they will know what do you struggle with. They will know what did you struggle with 1 year ago. And that gives us transparency. And transparency is very important to build a trust in your team. And trust, well, this is important in software development. And those things which I was talking about may be hard to implement in your company. Maybe because people will not agree with you. Maybe because you don't have enough power to do so. So I've prepared really small tips, action points that you can implement right away. and increase knowledge sharing in your project. Of course, we could say that, well, we should have the clean code, right? But we know that it's not always the case. So I think we could also focus on little brother of your production code, on your tests. And a few years ago, I was working at the project when section given of tests had like 20 lines. And every time when I was writing the new test, I was just copying that to another test because I did not understand what happens there. And I just crossed my fingers that it will work correctly. And it's not the case, right? We should not do that. Given section of your test is the place to set up your project. It's to set up your environment that you will test some case. So that should be easy to understand, right? So we can try to find the places that are connect with each other and try to name them. For example, here we have 3 lines, 3 services which we need to request to create the premium user. So what we can do here, we can add comments in this section to know what we are doing here. We can add labels like in the Spock, or we can use, for example, helper functions that will help us describe what happens here. And that little tip may help you make your test just a little bit more readable. And that's the plus of the tests. Next tests don't affect the previous ones. So you can just create new, better tests if you will focus on that. And when our test will be a little bit better, we can also focus on our Git history. First, it's worth to focus on creation, the pull request, but when you do so, it's worth to squash them when we merge pull request to the main branch. And thanks to that, you will avoid some kind of typo message or code review fixes. We don't care about them, those commits after some time. And it's also worth to add prefix to your commits to be able to link this commit with some task which was done to find the guilty people who done this. And if you are doing this, do yourself a favor and read twice your commit message. Because sometimes when we are excited about our solution, we kind of forgot how to write a good commit message. And those things that I was talking about, those small or sometimes big things, will help you to decrease amount of times when the third generation will appear, because we give the possibility to learn for the second generation. And I encourage you to learn about those tools, to go deep, to find something that will fit you and your teammates. Because thanks to that, in the future, some new employee will know why they need to buy the green chair. And my name is Sebastian Rabiej, and that was a pleasure to be here today with you. Thank you for being here during the lunch break. You are amazing. Thank you for that. If you have questions, if you have something that you want to discuss, I will be here whole conference and also on the after party. So I think that's it. Thank you very much once again, and have a nice meal.